Well, what's up again, guys? Brian here, 3TR here to give you my official review for one of my most anticipated movies of the year, simply titled Ready Player One. Now, this movie has a great group of individuals behind it, directed by Steven Spielberg, and has a great cast of Ty Sheridan, Olivia Cook, Ben Mendelsohn, TJ Miller, Simon Pegg, and a few others. And this film adaptation is based off the highly popular book Ready Player One, which if you haven't read it, you should, because for someone like me who is a big gamer, I absolutely love the hell out of it. And to get into the plot, this takes place maybe like 20 years into the future, in which everyone is really into VR. Everyone uses it for pretty much their daily life use. And we follow the main character who goes by the name of Wade Watts. And what happens is it is based around this virtual world called the Oasis, created by this inventor named James Halliday. And when he dies, he announces this contest of, I've placed 3 secret keys throughout the Oasis. Whoever can find all 3 of them will gain ownership of the Oasis. And so it is a hunt and a race against time, with Wade and his friends trying to recover these keys before the evil corporation of the IOI gets it, takes it over, uses it for whatever their evil plan or whatever. And that's really all I need to say in terms of plot. Now, coming from someone who actually did read the book, I can openly say right now that outside of the Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings books, I think that this is probably, at least for me, one of the best representations of a really good novel that I've seen since those movies came out. It doesn't quite get everything right, but if you were a fan of the book, I think that there's enough good about this film that you will certainly enjoy that kind of outweighs the negative aspects. Now, I'm gonna go over what I really liked about this film. Number one, I think the cast was great. I don't think anyone really had a major standout performance, but they really did handle their roles as well enough to carry the film. Another thing I really enjoyed was the visuals. The actual look of the Oasis was incredible. To see all the different avatars and all the different worlds. I'm not sure if this is something you should see in 3D. I saw this in 2D, but the way it was filmed, it didn't seem like it really benefited from 3D viewing, but if you did happen to see this in 3D, please let me know. Another thing I really liked was I liked the soundtrack, the soundtrack selection. There was a lot of really cool tracks I really enjoyed. There is a massive amount of Easter eggs, there's a lot of cameos, there's a lot of references from pop culture, just a lot of things that if you are into that kind of thing, you will definitely enjoy. This is the kind of film that you'll probably want to rewatch it over and over again just to see what characters are in the background and what characters you might have missed the first time. But I'm happy to say that this is not a movie that is based strictly off of just these elements. Anything you see in this film that is a reference or a cameo or has some little speck of hinting, it does have a purpose and it does serve the story very, very well. Another thing I also liked were some of the changes that they added to the book. Now, in the book, there are 3 challenges to recover these keys. They certainly did change those challenges to a point, and I really did appreciate that. And that was something I was really afraid of, because the way that they depicted them in the books sounded somewhat complicated, but I liked the changes that they added. Another thing I also really enjoyed was, to some degree, I really enjoyed how it depicted some gamers. I think that's, although I'm not sure if Steven Spielberg is a gamer himself, but I think that for the most part, he got some aspects of the benefits and enjoyment there is to have when being a gamer and playing with others. Now, I'm usually a solo campaign person, but I do openly admit that when I do play with friends, it does have its benefits, and I think that this movie captured that very well. Now, to go into some of the negatives. For one, there was an aspect of the ending that I really did not like at all, and it kind of took me out the movie, but at that point, that is the ending, so it didn't leave a sour taste in my mouth. Another problem I had with the film was some of the pacing. Now, I understand that when you're translating something from a book to a movie, you're going to have to make some changes, but there was a lot of major key elements that were ripped completely out that I felt you could have spent 2 or 3 minutes acknowledging that point. That point is placed there for a reason. Another thing that I really wasn't a big fan of is the amount of time we were able to spend with some of these characters. I'm not going to spoil exactly what happens, but there are 3 characters in particular that you barely spend enough time with. They just sort of, you see their avatars, but we never spent enough time with them in the real world to really care much about them. They're just sort of there. I think that out of the primary 5 protagonists that this movie has, it only spent a good amount of time on 2 of them, and I really would have wanted more time to actually see their interactions or get to know the other characters. Now, I know them from the books, but I don't think the movie handled that aspect very, very well. Another thing that I think is really going to bug a lot of people is that despite the fact that I think that Steven Spielberg did a very good job at handling the gamer aspect, I generally feel that if you are not an avid gamer, there are some parts of this movie that you probably won't get and won't understand. This very much is the type of movie that it kind of has that very, very sensitive problem that video game based movies have, in which you're trying to make a movie that satisfies the fan base of your material, but you're trying to make it accessible to people who are just regular moviegoers and know nothing about the source material. And I think that if you're not a gamer and you don't quite understand some of these characters or why this story matters, you might have a hard time getting into it. Now I'm not saying that's going to happen for everyone, but I do think there is an audience that this is just not going to click with, and that may hurt it in the long run. But overall, I did really enjoy Ready Player One. I do absolutely plan on seeing it a second time. I wish I could have seen it with friends so my enjoyment could have been even more enjoyable. But if I had to give Ready Player One a rating, I'm going to give it an A-. If you're a gamer or you did enjoy the book, certainly check this out. See it multiple times like I plan on to, because there's certainly a lot of things I know I missed that I wanted to see if I can catch it a second or even third time around. So if you like my movie review, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe, check out my future game, movie, and other videos. And be sure to press the links in the description down below to follow me on Twitter or friend me on Facebook to keep track of me and my future videos. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.